It's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hello. It's a Friday show.
It is the Friday show.
You know, I saw this headline. Tim Walz says he's done with politics. I will never run for office again. You mean yesterday you thought you could?
Right. Yeah. I hate to disappoint you all.
I was shocked
Right.
to hear that. Utterly shocked.
I saw tears in people's eyes. It turns out tears of joy in the audience. Yeah, it was, I thought to myself, I'm sorry, did I miss where people were begging him to run again? I didn't hear the part where there was this huge grassroots effort. Tim Walz, Tim Walz, Tim Walz, Tim Walz. The only people shouting his name is his wife from downstairs. Oh, whew. Yeah. So,
you know, I don't like to get into people's personal lives, but sometimes I just wonder,
yeah.
What would it be worse, to be him in a relationship with her or her in a relationship with him? Remember when she spoke publicly?
Yeah.
I mean,
it wasn't a good look.
No.
In many ways.
Neither is a good look.
Yeah.
All right, let me say it.
All right, what?
They both have googly eyes.
Yeah. No, they have crazy eyes. They really have crazy eyes. And his are weird. His are weird. I'm going to say this. He is not a master of his own domain. Now, that's not a Seinfeld reference, although it's kind of a Seinfeld reference. What I mean by that is he's not in control at all of anything.
Just good.
He's a guy, it comes off as completely manipulated and, and just not smart, not thoughtful. I mean, really. When he announced, I will never run for office again on MS Then or whatever it's called, he said, I thought to myself, there were people going, yeah, we were hoping you would announce you're getting out now. You're going to leave office early. Because you still have to wait for him to finish his term. I mean, it's just horrible.
Yeah, that was just fun. I saw that and I'm like, okay, that's just that's humorous across the board. That was just I just saw the headline. I started laughing. I went, what? Like this just came to my mind. I just am not going to be in politics anymore. And the other thing is, what I love about it is trying to portray it that he's the victim.
Right. Yeah,
Things are just out of control. I will not run for political office anymore.
Yeah.
It's just, It's too much. It's too much.
Right. Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. He's the victim. He's put in every effort. He's done all he can do. Sorry, but nobody was your permission structure at any point.
It's like
not on the national level.
It's like you and I are in this business, and over the really since 2020, there have been talk show hosts, even people that call themselves conservative talk show hosts that have quit the business, and when they quit the business, they were I couldn't believe the anger anymore, and I couldn't believe that when I took these positions, and I believe the Republican Party, that people got furious, and you and I laughed, and we went, "What the hell business you think you're in?"
Right.
You're going to get you're going to get half the people love you,
right,
and half the people absolutely hate you. That's just a part of the business.
Yep.
Deal with it or get out, but stop whining about, "Oh, I can't believe I done." Well, what did you think? Did you think you were the ice cream man going down the street with the nice little jingle song playing and all the little kids were coming up and life was beautiful and wonderful because you were just giving kids ice cream or something?
Well, you know, what's interesting is that in today's world, if you're on YouTube and social media, if you got that love-hate relationship with your audience half and half, it actually is the best scenario because the algorithm feeds off of the comments section of the back and forth in the comments section, which sometimes are endless. I didn't know this, but my son told me that there are gamers out there that are just, I mean, you can see there are people that love the person and then hate the person. I'm thinking they're watching the guy play video games. Not talk about what is constitutional and what isn't. And it's like, oh, you want to see divisive? You should go to this guy's page where he's playing video games and people watch him play video games. Oh, man. But that's the definitely the world we live in. And it was mind-boggling to see people get out of the business because all of a sudden they weren't, didn't feel popular, didn't they were going against the grain. I don't know how to do anything different. I don't know how to, my conviction is what it is. It is what it is. It's, as our old boss, Bob Schomper, would say, it's not, I'm not going to change that. I can vote for someone and still, if they do something that I believe is not good for the country, I'm going to talk about it. I think everybody should.
Well, I mean, from day one, it's why I didn't want to do it in the beginning. Mm-hmm. I wasn't one of those that said from an early age, I wish to be in political current event, culture talk radio.
Yeah.
I didn't want it. The owner forced me to do it. I had no choice.
Yeah.
But once I realized what it was, I realized this is the best job you could possibly have in broadcasting.
Oh, yeah.
And it's the best job. And I didn't know it when I got in, but I knew that part of it was, well, not everybody's going to love me. Why not? I give my opinion.
Well, you got to be all in. That's the thing is that you can't go in. I don't know if some people have successfully faked it. There are a lot of talk show hosts that I don't know personally, but with me, there's no way to fake it. Well, I can't create a persona. I had a friend of mine, a longtime friend of mine. We had this mega 4-hour conversation recently. He goes, "How do you do that, man? He goes, where does the persona come from?" I said, "Well, I don't know if it's persona. It's me." Exactly. And he goes, "Well, no, but you've got such a strong." I said, "Well, I mean, I guess that comes from being on the air every night, right, for hours every night, and being very clear about your opinion every night. If you're talking about not hesitating when it comes to that, this is a guy who's a conservative that works in Hollywood, so he has to think about everything that he says and not say some things every once in a while."
One of the things that happened when talk radio first came in, and I was one of them. I was in music radio. Now I didn't want to do it, and it was. What happened to me is, again, the owner of the station said you must do it. But after that job was over, I didn't search for really talk radio jobs. They came after me. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And then when there was a question between staying in music radio or in talk radio, the money was greater in talk.
Yeah.
And so I was sort of drawn to it. But it took a long time for me to just go, just be you. To hell with everything. I'm just going to be who I am. So there is no persona. I mean, we never really think of, to be honest with you, and I know you think the same way I do. You never think about that. You never thought about it. You just went on the air and just did your thing and had fun.
No.
And whatever. But it was tough. I know a lot of them are now out of it because this really was 35 years ago when really modern talk radio was born. But there were a ton of people that did music radio that then in order to stay in the business, necessarily weren't fans of doing it. But it was a way to keep working in the business. And I never knew it when I first got into music radio that 99% of the people were done by the time they were in their 40s. It was over.
Yeah, had you told me the stats early on, because early on I thought, not actually before I got into talk radio, I was still in music radio, I thought if you ever entered talk radio, there were two names that came to the top of my brain. Rush Limbaugh, and the other was Morton Downey Jr. And I was like, okay, Rush, I get. Morton Downey Jr. No. I don't want to be a Morton Downey Jr. It's, and you just have to Google him if you're not old enough to remember him. But I thought to myself, look, I didn't see myself in that game. I was a fan of talk radio. I didn't see myself in that game. And then when the opportunity happened, I was like, oh, no, this actually is a great opportunity. And then it evolved, and, here we are. It was, one of those things that was, because I was going into law enforcement. Music radio, to me, at the time, wasn't satisfying. In the mid-'90s, I was like, and I was looking into it, and at the end, I didn't trust my hearing issues. And because I thought to myself, there's going to be situations where I don't understand another officer or dispatch or something on the radio, and something like that can get people hurt or worse. And I came across this opportunity in 96, and I haven't looked back. But when the moment you have to walk out, on that plank, you're on it, you have to own the plank.
Yeah, and that's I knew like five different people that were in music radio that ended up in talk, and almost I think half of them didn't make it because they didn't want to give their opinion.
Right.
And the other three, I think three got out. The other two succeeded in doing local talk radio, but it took them about a year or two or three to be comfortable. And in some cases, the management said, you got to take a damn opinion. You can't sit there and get on the air every day and say, well, I'm not really left, I'm not really right. And, I can look at this topic, and I'm not really sure what I believe. But, that's the way that it's like, okay, that might have flown for a short period of time early, but people want to know what your opinions are and why you think that way. Now, you can ask questions. You and I do it all the time when there's things that happen, and it's like, okay, I don't have an opinion on this. Mostly it's current event or criminal activity, some kind of crime that's committed, where it's like everybody now jumps on it before they know what the facts are, and we don't do that.
Right.
And we'll tell you, well, we don't know this because we don't know this, we don't know this, we don't know this, we don't know this. And so many times we do that, and we've actually gotten that from people saying, you guys have strong opinions, but you're not afraid to say, I don't know, I don't have all the information yet. And that came... For me, that came directly from my dad, and that's because he pounded into me, you want to succeed in business? Never be wrong. Be right 100% of the time. Right. And I said, Dad, that's impossible. You can't do it. He said, if you can't do it, then shut the hell up.
You know what's interesting is that growing up watching cop television, you always saw cops talking, right? Like they're going to talk about the case before it's concluded. My dad was chief of police at one point, military police, in the Air Force on a major Air Force base, Laughlin Air Force Base in Texas. And if there was something going on, he wouldn't ever talk about it. If there was a case involving an airman or something like that, he would never talk about it because he didn't have all the information. Our fathers are alike. You and I have talked about it over the years. Our fathers are alike in many, many ways.
Yeah.
An investigative mind with my father, and, an engineering mind with your father. But it is about, again,
Both are about investigations.
Yeah, breaking it down,
yes, exactly.
Finding the truth, right? Finding out what happened or what works. And that, that's something that is, it's critical to this. I don't feel a need to be first or loudest. That's a problem with... Some people in the industry will tell you, well, no, you've got to be the loudest. You got to, claw your way to the top. You got to be the loudest. You got to have the loudest megaphone. I I've never felt that. And which is why you and I are very grateful for an audience that chooses to be here.
Yeah, we're one of their options, and that's
an
incredible compliment. Right.
Out of millions of options of what they could do with their time and listen to in today's world, they come to our show every day. And my gosh, I cannot overstate the gratitude I have for that. Because it's something that, again, hopefully it's a result of our work that we do or the approach that we have on the show or both.
Still in this business now in my 44th year, I still am amazed because there are some people, remember the guy that called, you guys get your talking point. What do you think? We said it to him. What do you think? We get our talking points, fax to us, emailed to us. Because I used to get talking points faxed way back when I first got in. More. I don't get any talking points.
Right.
And I didn't pay attention to them, but
right.
what do you do? You get your talking points from whatever at 9:30 in the morning, and the guy goes, yes. We burst out laughing.
Yeah.
No, this is the incredible part of it. This is the thing that blows us away. Major companies actually have both come to Eric and I over the past 40 years and said, go on the air, say what you think, make us money.
Yeah.
Huh?
Right.
What are you talking about?
Don't mess it up. Don't.
Well, what am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
Whatever you think is right.
Right.
And that's the beauty of what we do here because you're the performer, you're the writer, you're the director, you're the producer, you're everything.
Right.
The control you have in this, which is why this is the best job you could possibly ever have in the media.
Yep, I believe.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Brought to you by Hot Shot Secret.
Hi, I'm Jen Loomis, a transport safety expert at J.J. Keller. Due to safety concerns, many motor carriers have policies that limit or prohibit the use of cruise control. You should only use it in good driving conditions, during daylight hours, and on roads that have light traffic, few curves or hills, and a consistent speed limit. Never use cruise control when operating in adverse driving conditions, including wet, icy, or slippery roads, during rush hour in heavy traffic or on congested highways, at night, or when you're tired or fatigued. You want to be controlling and adjusting your speed as you drive instead of having to suddenly brake if you encounter an obstacle. In the case of a slippery road surface, you want to be able to slow your vehicle by not accelerating instead of using the brakes whenever possible. This tip was brought to you by J.J. Keller and Associates. Visit us at jjkeller.com.
Lines open for your calls. 866-90-RED-EYE on Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Wow, that cabinet meeting yesterday where Trump led off saying, we're not going to interview everybody. I just went, whoa.
Yeah.
But it was fascinating because there was not one mention of anything on immigration and only one mention of tariffs. That was it.
Right.
The rest was saying, talking about the GDP and everything else, and then zero questions afterwards.
Yeah. Yeah.
We said this a while back. They're worried. After the election, affordability became the number one thing.
Yep.
And they're worried.
Yep.
When you see the compromise that they're making on the budget deal that Department of Homeland Security just budgeted for 2 more weeks.
Right.
And not mentioning immigration at all yesterday, they know that the way that this has gone on, that they're losing public support by their own internal polls. That's the only reason that you saw that shift yesterday.
Right.
No questions.
Right.
No talk on immigration.
Right.
Tariffs mentioned once.
Right.
There's a reason for that.
What's working and what isn't working in a midterm season.
Yep.
Catch Red Eye Radio live every night on the Red Eye Radio app, available in the App Store. Red Eye Radio.
And he is Eric Cronin. I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. All right. So with Tom Homan taking over in Minneapolis, and again, noticing yesterday at the cabinet meeting, not one mention of immigration, of illegal immigration.
Right.
And like Terrace mentioned just once, the rest was all the accomplishments, GDP, things like that.
Yeah.
Many Republican consultants have been saying you need to get on your economic accomplishments. You've got to do that. You cannot continue going down, the same road of promoting these things. But when you get to what happened in Minneapolis, and we've stated it. What doesn't matter whether it's constitutional, legal. I mean, it does in a way, but when it comes to winning elections, that doesn't matter. All that matters to people, all that matters is what is public opinion on what is going on. Mm-hmm. And public opinion, even if you want to say, as we've stated before, the public is fickle, the public is still fickle. But my question is, and I had a great conversation with Independent Bob yesterday.
Oh, how's he doing?
He's doing really, really good. He's snowed in and still in. Hasn't gone out much in Arkansas.
Yeah, they got that
too.
He was
up in Arkansas. He goes, my gosh, it's just like,
wow.
I had written to him the other day. I think it was a social media comment, and I said, "Wow, looks like Ohio, which is where he's from."
Yeah.
And somebody wrote, "Well, it looks like Dallas." I went, "Oh, good point."
Yeah.
But just said, we didn't have our normal 3-hour conversation on politics. It was about a bunch of other things. And at the end, I went, oh, he said, well, take care. And I went, wait a minute, hold it. We got to say something about politics. Yeah. And so the immigration thing we started talking about, and it was something that you and I brought up yesterday. And I'll expand on it just a little bit, but we had said, is there another way when Homan clearly wasn't pleased with where the Department of Homeland Security was going with their rhetoric.
Right.
Homan was not pleased. And you can't look at Homan and say, this is some guy who was soft on illegal immigration. You're not going to be able to make that point. But I think he has, there's the picture of him getting the award from Obama. For being so successful in the illegal immigration problem. And so he has credibility and has worked through many different administrations and is a professional at doing it. And being a professional means not only getting the job done, but make sure that you're selling it correctly to the public. And so one of the things we said yesterday is, why was Homeland Security, whether it's ICE, Border Patrol, why were they so visible doing this? Did they, and we came up and Independent Bob saying this, good question. Did they believe that the imagery of the confrontations, whether it was in L.A. back when or in Minneapolis, was there a thought of process from the, I'll say, Stephen Miller narrative that if it happened in the streets, that it would hurt Democrats and not the administration? Because you and I asked the question, if you could, because you can see now where Homan's focusing. Criminal illegal immigrants, and I'm thinking probably also, as he has stated before, illegal immigrants with deportation orders. That we can win that one, and the rest you do, if you're going to remove illegal immigrants, you do it much quieter. But the question has come up, and I've seen it when you and I asked a question the other day. Can't you, if you're targeting them, can't you be in and out in 5 minutes? If you're going to an address,
if you want the mission, okay. Outside of a situation where there's a ton of leaks,
yes.
And I think there still needs to be, and I'm sure there is. DHS needs to be conducting an investigation and a large internal investigation to determine if leaks are happening. and this goes back to the beginning of Trump's second term, when they show up at an apartment complex in Colorado, and clearly there was a heads up because that violent gang that had taken over, these were illegal immigrants, violent gang members, weren't there all of a sudden. They were given a heads up, and somebody told them ICE was coming, and that wasn't publicized that they were going to be there. So, outside of leaks, you can control what gets to the media and what doesn't. Again, the leaks is a huge asterisk because it depends on the extent of that problem. If there are activists in positions, clerical positions at DHS, data entry, positions you wouldn't think of. They're not on the street. They're not wearing protective gear. They're just showing up to an office and they're putting in information or maybe a part of, the broader national picture, but also, again, unseen. That's where the leaks would come from. If the leaks are coming, they're coming from somebody who is an activist who doesn't like what ICE is doing and is probably employed there because they don't like what ICE is doing. That's what we have typically seen from these liberal activists. But,
but the other point would be, were the leaks on purpose? Were the leaks sanctioned?
Because you want them to see, you want the people to see it.
Because this is the question that I would have. Were there people inside the administration that thought, if we go out and do our job, which is lawful, and all of it was lawful, and as we now know, you're not dealing. Oh my gosh! Did you see the one with the thing with Klobuchar talking about Preddy and what a wonderful human being he was and everything, and it shows him the video behind it went viral.
Yeah,
kicking.
It was Elizabeth Warren, wasn't it? You said Klobuchar.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Elizabeth Warren. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm thinking of Klobuchar running for
governor of Minnesota.
Governor. Doing it, and it was. It looked horrible.
Oh,
so when you look at it and you say, okay, take the emotion out of it. What happened here? Well, everything was legal. They're not Nazis. They're not this. They're not this. That's all BS coming from Democrats. But inside the administration, was there? If we do our lawful job and we get attacked, and we're going after illegal criminal immigrants in this country, that we're going to win in the arena of public opinion. Did they think that?
After I'll say this. In the Colorado case, you blew it, if that's the case. After Alvarado, Texas, you're risking agents' lives if you're doing this. If this is sanctioned from the inside, it is the worst decision made by this administration on the border.
Yeah. By the way, I'm asking a question. I'm not attempting to make a statement.
Right.
I'm simply asking that question because, Homan, when he was on a couple weeks ago, and Noam had said that she was a domestic terrorist, he did not. I think Homan is somebody who wants to get the job done without a ton of publicity, without every day showing the American public how the sausage is made.
Right. And he talks like a border agent.
He talks like a border agent, and everything he brings
He talks
up,
like law enforcement.
When I watch him, and this is what you and I have said, I go back to Dad, don't ever be wrong. Don't ever say something that ends up being wrong later on, especially when you know the public is behind you in the polls. Do what needs to be done to get the job done, but you can't also forget that this is politics and it's polling, and if you don't win the next election, you're in deep trouble. Homan seems to understand how to get the job done, but also that publicity when you need to get people out of the country not always is necessarily positive imagery.
Well, and also
that shouldn't be here.
Your language doesn't need to include labeling. The labels are very clear. Illegal aliens,
Right.
if you look at the terms within the actual law enforcement process of what we're talking about here, the terms speak for themselves. Labeling individuals doesn't work for you. Social media will do that. And if you think that that's a positive for you, let social media do the heavy lifting there, because what your job is very different. And the support is built by all of that playing out and the truth rising to the surface. When Elizabeth Warren is sitting there and that split screen video tells the story, and she's, trying to, again, this narrative of Preddy being only
Right.
this loving, caring person while he's attacking an ICE vehicle with agents in it, and damaging the vehicle. It demonstrates that, well, no, he had a lot of anger inside of him because, number one, who does that? Number two, who does that with armed agents?
It showed
but
he was willing to break the law,
but
because he
you
did
don't-
break the law.
Right, but you don't need to, if you're part of the administration, do the job. And as the job's being done, social media will put everything together, and the truth will rise to the surface for you. The labeling, and I think this is Tom Homan's approach, the labeling doesn't work for you. It doesn't work for the overall mission, actually, is what he's concerned about. Is what are you talking, going back to the question of, could this be a series of sanctioned leaks so that you get this, on playing out on the news, this battle? Well, again, that doesn't work for the mission. It doesn't work for the agents on the ground, because it makes it more dangerous, and it also gives a heads up to any illegals who might be targets of these missions. While, you also have to include the fact that Stephen Miller had a very different approach in his thought, and Kristi Noem was part of that. But again, her point has been clearly that it's what the president wanted. We wanted these sweeping patrols of these areas, and Homan wanted a more targeted approach, focusing on known hardened criminals that were dangerous, that had, again, met certain criteria for immediate capture, detention, and then ultimately deportation.
That's what brought me to the question, because Noem demanded that meeting, that 2-hour meeting with the president, and she basically came out and said, well, we were doing what we've been doing what the administration wanted, where I think she looks at this where she might feel publicly shamed, and went in and said, I did what you told me to do.
Right. Yeah.
Because what else would the meeting be about?
Well, because here's the thing, too. It had played out for so long. I mean, the better part of a year, that it could have been stopped. If you didn't want it to go this way, there's one person that has definitive control, but certainly there's a group of people that are in control who could have come together to say, we can't do this. We can't. If you wanted to control that message, there was a way to control it by changing how these missions were going to be executed.
We are Red Eye Radio.
Coming up, more with Gary McNamara and Eric Harley. It's Red Eye Radio.
We are Red Eye Radio. He is Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. You already see, because of Homan in Minneapolis, and again, focusing on what he's focusing, which is, look, you focusing on this thing. Again, not that you will not stop deporting. He's never said we're going to stop deporting illegal immigrants.
Right.
The focus, though, with the cities is, again, about, with Minneapolis, illegal criminal immigrants that they've actually had in custody and will not release to ICE.
Right.
And that's what he's looking at. The city really doesn't have a part. And I think this is where Homan's saying we don't need to make the general illegal immigrants or immigrants with deportations, we don't need to really deal with the deportation orders. We don't need to deal with the cities or the state for that.
Right. Yeah.
Our focus with the city and state is the argument we cannot lose violent criminals out.
Right.
And
because if there was this intention of, we want the imagery that ICE is out there doing a good job, we closed the border and now we're enforcing, in terms of deportation, we're enforcing the law on the interior. Well, the problem, again, becomes dangerous if it is known, if it's out there for these agents. If it's not a more targeted approach, you're also not going to have the success, ultimately, long term, that you want.
Top of the Hour News is brought to you by House Products. Visit houseproducts.com.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One. Now, it's Red Eye Radio. Gary McNamara and Eric Harley talk about everything from politics to social issues and news of the day. Whether you're up late or you're just starting your day, welcome to the show. From the Uniden America Studios, this is Red Eye Radio.
All across America, we are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. Hi. It's the Friday show. Woohoo! So remember Chaz and Chop?
Yes.
Chaz and Chop.
Those were, that was the names of the police officer and the construction worker and the Village People. Right? No?
Yeah, that's it. That's the ticket. You remember in Seattle back in the summer of love, and Chop and Chaz, the community, the collectivist community, the collectivist community where all was nirvana.
Yeah.
And it was, what was her name? Durkin?
Yeah, Mayor Durkin, Jenny Durkin. Summer of Love.
What a piece of work she was. Well, the summer of love, this story out yesterday, a jury has awarded the father of a teenager who was shot and killed in the Capitol Hill occupied protest CHOP zone in Seattle in 2020 approximately $30 million after finding the city was negligent in how it handled the weeks-long protest zone. The family of Antonio Mays Jr. filed a lawsuit alleging his death was a result of unsafe conditions in the CHOP zone, which the city of Seattle had known about for weeks by the time he was killed in late June of 2020. The lawsuit alleges Mays had been lured into the CHOP zone by a statement from city officials who supported the CHOP zone during the Black Lives Matter movement. According to the lawsuit, Mays and his friend were driving around the park in a Jeep when they were shot by civilian guards who were acting as CHOP security. After being shot, CHOP medics pulled the boys from the Jeep and drove them to 14th and Union to rendezvous with Seattle fire crews. The medics eventually drove Mays and West to the Harborview Medical Center, where Mays died. After the shooting, then Seattle Police Chief Carmen Best said bystanders had been in and out of the Jeep before detectives were able to access it. It was the fourth shooting in June in the CHOP zone. But that's what it was about. They looked and they said the city has not yet apologized to the Mays family. Remember Dummy Durkin and, her promoting what a great thing this was, and it was pure chaos.
Oh, my
gosh.
gosh.
If you wanted an example of the far left and what they lead you to, the chaos they lead you to, that was the example. And remember the media covering it?
Yeah.
This is nirvana. Yeah. This is the way it needs.
Right.
We're everybody. We're our own security.
Everyone has power. No one has power. Everyone has nothing. No one has nothing.
Wow.
Everyone is happy. No one is happy. Because you and I, during that entire thing, asked about, what about the citizens of Seattle?
They didn't care.
You know,
But the majority of the residents, the citizens of Seattle don't care. Otherwise,
they didn't do anything different.
No. I know. We know there are citizens that looked at it and said this is ridiculous. But the majority of citizens in Seattle are okay with the insanity of socialism, collectivism, chaos. They're okay with it. It's what they want.
Yep.
Otherwise, the voting would be different.
Well, again, lawlessness is the goal. Law enforcement is the enemy. Law enforcement is wrong. Lawlessness is acceptable. I don't know how many examples we've given over the recent years of this playing out by people in office at varying levels. Bragg, as a prosecutor, who floated the idea, well, if you use a gun in the commission of a robbery, as long as you don't fire the gun, then we're not going to pursue a felony. Huh?
It just threatens somebody with
You're not
a
going
gun.
I'm sorry, you're not going to blame the gun makers? What happened to you on the left?
Now, after everything the last couple of weeks, now they got to decide whether they believe in the Second Amendment or not.
No, that's where they go. But it's trying to create this weird nirvana out of what, if you step back and look at it, is chaos. What they're ultimately wanting to achieve is that chaos, the complete unlawful and disorder. All right. If Dick Wolf wants to have a new series, the series created that everybody knows is Law and Order, Unlawfulness and Disorder. You can put that one up there, and you have enough liberals to populate your cast, I'm sure, because that's what they're looking for. That is their goal, is to have that chaos, because then we need to save you. We need to set the building on fire and then run around front with a water hose and pretend to be the hero.
You know what? The Chop and Chaz, remember, because it was, why did they change it? Was it a gender thing? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe Cher got involved and said, you can't use that name.
You can't, because it was first Chop, right?
Yeah.
Then they
was
went,
it? I
thought it was Chop first and they went to Chaz, or was it Chaz first and they went to Chop?
Yeah, I forget.
Now, Chaz, I thought, was what liberals were, was one of the top popular names for the far left for their kids. But then they don't have kids, so it doesn't matter.
Right.
But the Chaz thing, the Chop Chaz thing, always reminded me of what the left views as a nirvana, which always reminded me of the homeless encampment in the movie They Live.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
With, by the way, if you've never seen They Live, it is the best B movie ever.
Right. Well, it's also the opposite, or maybe Demolition Man, the movie, would be the opposite, right?
Okay.
So underground,
Yeah.
Dennis Leary is making sense. Above ground, the system doesn't make any sense.
No.
Right?
No, the whole seashell thing is toilet paper.
No, that's not going to happen.
That's really the biggest question ever in a movie. How did that work? And nobody's ever answered that.
Right.
Now, I've thought about it, and I really don't want to get into it.
Yeah.
I didn't spend a lot of time trying to analyze it. I want to make clear that
Yeah. By the way, Sandra Bullock as the comic relief in that movie was perfect. He really matched his meat.
and by the way, one of the finest sex scenes ever.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
And if you don't judge us, you have to see it, and you realize, oh, they've gone beyond physical contact.
Yeah.
Remember we put on the hell. Was he supposed to put on a helmet or something?
Right,
What
right,
was it?
right.
It's like,
Yeah.
what is this?
What is this?
Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's great in that movie. But yeah, it always reminded me of, and so this whole thing is the aliens. The aliens have come down. The aliens are the far left, and the aliens wish to build a society like you see in the movie They Live. That's what it's all about.
Right.
Hey, Tucker Carlson, I can one up you any day of the week.
Yeah, it's there's no way it wasn't going to go badly. Because, again, you just start with the foundation of law and order. And if you don't enforce the law and you let those who are not obeying the law take over, and then all of a sudden they start creating their own law within a certain zone, how good is the weed in Seattle? And how much of it was Durkin smoking?
Well, I mean, when I saw this lawsuit yesterday, then it was really in the last 8 hours. I think this thing was finally settled.
Yeah,
and it seems like every story I've read, the jury looked at it and go, "Well, it was the city officials saying, what a great place,
right?
Go on down, check it
Right.
out." And they're like, it was horrible. There were shootings. It was just it was pure anarchy. It was anarchy down there,
Right.
and that's what it was.
It was always going to be a dangerous situation.
Of course, it was.
When you let the radicals create their own law,
there is no law.
then there is no law.
I like that.
It is complete anarchy and chaos. Again, the radicals love that because now we need to be your hero and come around front and put the fire out.
And I just wanted to make sure that we covered that story because it's very important when you look back. Wow, almost 6 years.
Wow.
Eric and I still can't believe we're having trouble that it's 2026, just so you know.
I'm having trouble that I turned 60. That's a whole other talk show.
But it could only, when we said it back then, this isn't going to work.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't how things work.
Right.
These aren't how human beings interact. The left sits there and puts some kind of stupid thought into their mind and say, if I think it, then it should be able to happen. Same thing with economics. If we wish it is this way, then it's going to be this way.
Right.
And that's
Yeah.
not the way that human nature is. Human nature, for the most part, reacts. You can basically figure out how they're going to react in a particular situation.
Yeah.
You can take great calculated guesses, and this was not a good calculated guess at all, and we knew it. And I think it's important just 6 years later to show that what was happening at the time with the mayor, Durkin, coming out and saying what a great thing this is and what a wonderful thing, and the left embracing it. This is the kind of togetherness that we need. And now the lawsuit comes and is settled almost 5 years later, and the jury says, you people did a horrible thing.
Right.
Your mayor did a horrible thing. Your city officials did a horrible thing that got people shot and killed. In this instance, killed.
Yeah.
And it's reprehensible what you did. We need to award the family $30 million.
Yeah.
It's important to finish that story.
It is. Because if you think about that, again, they went out of their way to create that situation. There are things that happen that aren't intentional, and lives are lost. You can still be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
But in this situation, it was completely intentional. That scenario was created by design that led to people getting killed. And it was very clear. This wasn't a situation where, again, elected officials create the law, and then that law is being enforced. Nope. You handed over basically full legislative reign in that zone to radicals to write their own playbook.
You didn't enforce the law of the people.
Exactly.
And you let people take over other people's property.
Yep. That was the question all along for me is, what about the property owners?
Yeah.
What about the people that and the businesses in that entire, scenario of mostly peaceful protests? Was it peaceful? Was it? No. It wasn't. It was about the destruction of property, and it was about lost lives at the hands of people who had the ability to control it and went out of their way.
Did not enforce the law.
Did
not enforce the law and did not protect property owners.
Right.
Law-abiding property owners, they didn't protect. They said, let the criminal element do what they wish to do.
Yep.
What do you mean criminal element? As soon as you allow somebody to take over public property or anybody else's property, you're breaking the damn law. Well, nobody should own property because we all live on stolen land.
Yeah.
Blah, 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 blah. Shut up!
Yeah, no, I mean, it's over and over and over. It's never ending. I say the left carves out their own little Chaz or chop. Wait, they have. It's called California. It's called Illinois. It's called New York City.
We are Red Eye Radio.
This morning's USDA Farm Report is brought to you by House Products. Tested, trusted, guaranteed since 1920.
We're just days away from learning the outcome of Punxsutawney Phil's Groundhog Day appearance and whether the visit by this rodent signals 6 more weeks of winter or an early start to spring. One question, according to USDA meteorologist Brad Rippey, does Phil's forecast just apply to western Pennsylvania or the entire country?
I think there's a little bit of question about just exactly what that means. And since it's all in fun, it really doesn't matter. We can just speculate about that.
While Phil has a prestigious history in weather prognostication, Rippey says he has competition in that regard.
Staten Island Chuck roared to fame with the interactions with the various New York City mayors a number of years ago. We've also got pretty well-known prognosticators, groundhogs in Ohio, Buckeye Chuck, and as a West Virginia native, I'll mention that there is also French Creek Freddy. That prognosticator has been making its picks for spring weather for over 40 years now. There's actually a rattlesnake in Arizona known for making spring predictions.
I'm Rod Bain reporting for the U.S. Department of Agriculture in Washington, D.C.
This report brought to you by Cenex Fuels and Lubes.
Get in touch with Red Eye Radio, toll free at 866-90-RED-EYE.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley and I'm Gary McNamara. Welcome and good morning. Thanks so much for being here. Coming up following the bottom of the hour, I want to play this audio cut. I saw it yesterday. I went, whoa. And it was the NTSB chair on remember the helicopter airplane crash?
Yeah.
At Reagan just about a year ago, right at this time.
Yeah.
Furious.
Yeah.
Absolutely furious. I'll play some of the audio cut, some of the audio coming up, not the entire press conference, where she talks about the fact that should have never happened.
We said it at the time. We were like, how does this happen?
Right.
How in the world does this ever happen?
That's what when I saw it yesterday, I went, everything that question we asked, she basically answered.
Yeah.
Like, why is a helicopter even close to the flight path of an airplane coming in? And it's like there had to be something wrong. And she's like, they all knew it. The FAA knew it. The tower knew it. They knew this was dangerous. Everybody knew it.
Yep.
And wait till you hear it because you can tell she is angry. He goes, this thing 100% preventable.
Yeah. Yeah. And you look at the history of aviation disasters. How many of them, a very high number of them, percentage-wise, human error. And in the wake of that crash, we were just asking, I think everybody was asking, how in the world does that happen? How can you have that setting, this almost mingling of the airspace between those military aircraft and commercial aircraft? How in the world does that work? That it can't work. And we'll hear some audio coming up.
You're listening to Red Eye Radio from the Uniden America Studios.
And I'm Gary McNamara. He's Eric Harley. Download our Red Eye Radio app today, and you can listen when and where you choose. Before we get to that audio from the NTSB, I saw the story yesterday that the American Airlines CEO said the worst ever weather loss for American Airlines.
Well, it was weird for me because I commented on, I don't remember the last time our school district, and I live in a school zone. I mean, 5 houses down and across the street is the elementary where 3 of my 4 attended elementary school. My grandson goes to that elementary. We've lived in this neighborhood. I've lived there 30 years, and I don't remember, aside from ice apocalypse, there being a winter weather-related shutdown for 4 days in a row. And it seemed like this wasn't the biggest weather event we've ever seen.
No.
Except for the fact that the ice was relentless.
Yeah.
And
it was so heavy.
With American Airlines, obviously having to de-ice and then, get to the point of, well, okay, you can't de-ice, during the storm. And so you just got cancellation. And then the tarmac, I mean, I don't know. I don't know how they did it. I don't know. I mean, you talk about, it's still a mess out front here at our office. It's just, it's as slick. It's worse than it's ever been because the sleet created some traction. It melted, and now it's just glass with oil on top of it is the best way to describe it.
Everything, I came in, all the roads, I could go full speed. All right?
Dry. Yep.
Everything was dry.
Yep.
Get into the parking lot. I pull up.
Yes.
You could see this ice is almost glowing. And we're talking, 15 feet, 10 feet maybe. 10 to 15 feet of just pure ice where it took me about 5 minutes to try. Maybe I shouldn't have worn my sneakers, my tennis shoes.
Yeah.
But no traction. And
Right.
I was afraid I was going to fall flat on my butt.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is some of the worst ice I've ever experienced. And I'm like, the entire city's almost clear now. And right here, there's like,
we can't get to the door.
We can't. I can't get from I got all the way here. I don't know if I can get from my car to the door. And somebody put a mat. Usually they salt out front there. By the way, building management, huge liability. Just warning. Just trying to help you out here.
Invest in some salt.
But they put down a mat. There's like a little area.
Had I known, I would have brought my salt from home. Because at my house, same thing. So my house faces south. Across the street, my neighbor has these huge trees. And because of those trees and the house being, or the sun being in the southern hemisphere this time of year, I don't get the sunlight necessary on the street in front of my house and the part of the sidewalk that's along parallel to the street, right? So it's also become very, very slick. I'm using salt on it, and that helps a lot with traction. But there's nothing you can do because it's solid ice. It's not like you can shovel it. I took a hammer out there early morning yesterday trying to get some of it cleared. I cleared some around my wife's car so she could safely just get to the car and then lay down a bunch of salt. But it's the only stretch of my entire street that isn't dry, and it's solid ice. And we got to, 61 yesterday afternoon.
Yep.
But if you don't get that radiant heat, it only melts part of it, and whatever's in the shade is gonna stay. So, still dealing with that. It's like a comedy getting out of my truck. Okay, pulling up in our parking lot tonight was the first time that my truck ever did a slide on the ice during this entire thing. It's like, whoa, I'm going sideways here. And I was right there in my parking space. And then trying to maneuver that on foot was even worse. Yeah,
so. They say the cruisers, as of yesterday, that story that they're stranded, they can't get hotels, the places where they're stranded at and everything else, that it's just a complete...
The airline cruise?
Yeah.
Wow.
It was weird seeing that yesterday, that story. It's like the biggest... no other storms ever affected American Airlines like this, was the point that he was trying to make.
Wow.
So,
and you look at the stretch of, the footprint of this entire storm system, because DFW, of course, which is a hub, but then Tennessee just got hammered with ice.
Yeah.
Just hammered. And other states in that zone, but, where there are these hubs and where American flies and everything else, all of that. That it makes sense. But it was, again, locally, it was just, I was like, I wouldn't have seen this coming. 4 days off of school. I believe they are going back on later today, but it's because, and it's because of exactly what we encountered when we came in. You might be able to get them there to the parking lot, but now you got a bunch of staffers and kids on that slick ice and on the sidewalk, and your nurse's office is going to look like a triage unit if you're not smart about it.
Oh, it's just unbelievable. The last 15 feet, everything was no. I'm like, this is great. Get here. It's like,
no.
How am I going to get in? I'm going to get killed. And I've dealt with ice. I grew up in Buffalo. I've dealt with ice. This is some of the slickest ice to walk on. Yeah. I mean, it was. All I know is I have a plan of action. Alan helped me that I'm going to go. I'm not going to walk. I'm going to go right over to the bushes over there and walk right next to the bushes where he said it's much better. Okay. And then try to just find a dry spot, get my foot there, then hopefully lean on my car. And once I get to the car, I can hold on to the car and get through. That is, and I know we're talking like we're a bunch of elderly old men, which we might be, but that's not the case. If I was 15, I'd be going, oh my God.
Well, if I was 15, I'd do the Tom Cruise thing.
Just slide in?
Yeah, just slide in. I just take a run, and then
it's like
eventually I'll get to the truck.
I mean, it's really bad, but I just thought it was the story on American was interesting. But we all remember the Reagan Airport midair collision last year. The NTSB was talking about it. I think it was 2 days ago. Jennifer Hamady was talking about it. This is because, and we had so many questions. We were like, how can a helicopter even be close?
Yeah.
Well, they might have been off a little bit. What were they within a mile of there?
Right.
And we had all these questions, and we're like, does that have any credibility here? Apparently it does. Here is the NTSB chair 2 days ago talking about it. Here we go.
Chris Van Cleve from CBS News. There's very clear frustration from the board, it sounds like, when it comes to the FAA's role in all of this. Should the FAA have known there was a problem? Should something have been done?
The question is, should the FAA have known there was a problem, and should something have been done? Absolutely. The data was there. The data was in their own systems. It was the NTSB working with them to determine that there were 15,214 close proximity events, 85 of which were serious, over a number of years. That's just the data. Why collect data if you're not going to analyze it? Then they were supposed to conduct annual reviews of helicopter routes to consider, are they still safe? Is there utility to keeping them? Should they change? We couldn't find any evidence of annual reviews, nor could FAA tell us who did them. That is astounding to me. It's one, I believe, failure after another. But we can talk about the pilots, we can talk about air traffic controllers, we can talk about traffic. What we need to really talk about is a tower and tower personnel who were repeatedly saying, we have a safety problem here. We have a hot spot at the end of runway 33 and we need to do something about it. We have helicopter routes where we have unsafe practices right now. We need to do something. How many times do tower personnel, who, by the way, put their own helicopter working group together and kept submitting one recommendation after another? We need help, we need help, we need help. Apparently falling on deaf ears. So I will also get she sounds angry. We should be angry. Because for years, no one listened. This was preventable. This was 100% preventable. Frankly, having a helicopter route crossing runway 33 with only 75 feet that means 75 feet of vertical separation. What that means is 75 feet, at best, separating a helicopter and civilian aircraft. Nowhere in the airspace is that okay. Nowhere. This shouldn't have existed.
The exact questions that you and I asked, but is this, if they're always flying in there, and remember, we heard the 75, I heard 95 feet last. We're like, well, that can't be. There's just no way in a modern air traffic control system that anybody would allow that. And apparently the air traffic controllers knew about it. They put their own working group together. They kept submitting, thousands and thousands of these incidents. As she said, 85 that were extremely close. And you can hear the frustration in her voice. What the hell are we doing where we have a possibility of a helicopter crossing right in front of a runway with 75 feet difference if a plane's coming in at that moment?
Air traffic control has enough on their hands of all of those commercial planes coming in and out. That's their job. We've got this zone, and it's, one thing to have an anomaly where there's a miscommunication and there's a near miss. This was a dangerous zone that was repeatedly pointed out. How do you not do something about that? How is it that the public only learns it through the loss of life? How in the world does that happen?
Because this isn't an engineering design.
Nope.
She said we can talk about pilot error.
Yep.
But still, that pilot error and mechanical things are always going to go wrong.
Yeah.
Those are individual instances. But when you have that the actual schematic of where planes and helicopters are allowed to be is completely and totally unacceptable, and day in and day out, week in and week out, month in, year out, you continue to do the exact same thing. Everybody's saying there's going to be an accident. You cannot do this. You cannot have helicopters and planes this close together. You can hear the frustration in her voice. She's sitting there with her hands going, 75 feet. What in the hell's going on?
Right. It's mind-boggling.
And
beyond stupid, beyond tragic.
Want my little haunting story? My TV in my bedroom when I wake up. If I go, I've got the Google Chrome thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I just go to Google Chrome and just let it sit, it will go into a mode where it just takes pictures from my phone.
Right.
All right. So I wake up tonight after I'd seen this. This is one of the last things I saw before I went and took my nap yesterday afternoon. I went, well, we got to talk about it. So turn on the TV, whatever, and it just sits there in its status, and it's a picture of when I took off from that runway 3 weeks ago and took a picture of right where the plane crashed.
Wow.
Right out my plane window.
Wow.
We are Red Eye Radio.
We'll be right back with more Red Eye Radio with Eric Harley and Gary McNamara.
We are Red Eye Radio. He's Eric Harley, and I'm Gary McNamara. So yeah, the NTSB thing the other day with the head of it talking about, and you could tell there was like resignation. There's nothing the NTSB can do on these things. We already knew. The FAA, they were warned.
Yeah.
They know thousands of incidents.
Right.
And we're talking about the crash last year at Reagan, the helicopter, and I think it was American Airlines plane going down on the Potomac.
Right.
And it's like, we all ask the question, why the hell is a helicopter in the path of a runway?
Right.
That's exactly what the NTSB asked. We've known this shouldn't be happening. The warnings were there. Nobody did anything about it. You could see the frustration and the anger.
Tragic.
This is Red Eye Radio on Westwood One.